Well, I am Jordan Nielsen. I'm an associate professor of organizational behavior and human resources here at Purdue in the Mitch Daniels School of Business. Yeah, so pro-social impact is kind of the academic speech for when people feel like they're making a difference through their work. They're actually helping people. And so thwarted pro-social impact is when they feel like their organization's getting in the way of that. So there's something about the organization that's preventing them from having the kind of impact, the kind of difference they want to make for customers, clients, students, patients, depending on what your job is. So at the heart of it is really bureaucracy, or it was kind of the B word in organizations sometimes. We refer to bureaucracy is something that gets a lot of flack from people. There is good necessary bureaucracy, but there's a lot of bad bureaucracy. And so this is, rules and procedures that feel like they're unnecessary. It can be job demands that are unreasonable. Bad bosses can bring a lot of bureaucracy. Resource constraints, or kind of the way that a budget is allocated, can really ruffle feathers. And so there's lots of examples of this bad bureaucracy getting in the way. And we found that that's, in our research at least, that's one of the main reasons that people feel frustrated, like they can't have the impact they want to have. Companies often make promises to new employees or job candidates when they're kind of recruiting people that they're going to be a part of something important. And they might be implied promises, not always explicit, but there's usually some sort of understanding that, hey, you're going to be doing something that matters here. And what we found in our research is that when people experience this thwarted impact, this bureaucracy that gets in the way of the purpose, then they feel like this promise has been broken. Like, hey, you said we were going to be doing X, Y, Z to help people. That's not what I feel like I'm able to do. And that damages the relationship they have with their employer. And so what we have seen as a result of that is that they end up giving less effort in their jobs after this happens, and they're more likely to quit within a year's time, which we found in our study at least. And it's particularly bad for people who work on the front lines. So people who interact the most with clients and customers are the ones who this is maybe most obvious for. And it's damaging for everybody, but the relationship between the company and the employee is damaged the worst for those people who are constantly engaging with these clients and customers. And so these are, that's a costly thing for employers to have to deal with. Poor effort, people quitting, and these are things that you could probably avoid. Well, we definitely think there's things that organizations can do to prevent or address thwarted pro-social impact problems. I mean, the first one that's maybe fairly obvious is do some sort of an audit of your bureaucracy, right? What are the rules and procedures that you have? Are they there to control employees because you don't trust them, or are they there to kind of protect people and have a clear process? And we want to make sure that we have structures and processes in mind that are trusting of employees, but also give them kind of flexibility to adjust for customer needs. So that's the first thing that we would mention. And then the second one is, well, yeah, I mean, we know that there's going to be rules and structures and procedures that are necessary, especially in bigger organizations. You have to have that stuff. But let's make sure that people understand why they're there. And a lot of times, kind of lower level employees, we just expect them to kind of fall in line, but they don't really have a clear understanding. So if we can communicate transparently about why a certain procedure or rule or policy is in place, well, then they can say, okay, I can work with this, we're on the same page at least. And maybe it's not even the organization's fault. Maybe they're following the law in some way. And so they're much less likely to blame the organization and get upset if they have that kind of clear understanding. A sense of purpose is a really important part of people's work experience. It's really motivating. I mean, first of all, when people feel a sense of purpose that gives them direction, and then they feel like they're interested and maybe even excited at times, right, to do their work. And often that leads to higher effort, which can lead to more productivity or higher performance. But it's also something that just makes people feel better, right? So there's the performance aspect, but there's also this well-being, I think, benefit that's good for employees, but it's also good for organizations in the long term, right? It makes work a more sustainable experience. I've spent my career so far focused on how can organizations facilitate this sense of purpose. And what we found in this most recent research is that, well, sometimes that means getting out of the way, right? Or getting out of employees' ways and creating room for them to be flexible and adjust with employees and trusting them to do what's best for your customers and for your clients.